and battling all the other traffic outside in the parking lot. I know it's kind of a hectic journey in here. Tonight we have a very, very, very special person in to speak with you all tonight. He has written his new book, I'm Not Coming Back, which, based on the title, it seems that you guys had better enjoy. Well, you're in for a very special treat, because the moments that I've talked to him, I was just in heaven. He's just one of the nicest guys that I've met. Ladies and gentlemen, his name is Ananda Abinou, and he is here tonight.
Thank you. Well, can you hear me? No? No? You need to bring it closer. How about now? They both should be on. Can you hear me in the back? Thank you again for such a warm welcome. We live in perilous times. The specter of war looms over us every day. We seek to stop it. However, in the ways that we traditionally try and stop war is by our physical action, to voice our opinion. There's another way. That way is within. I'm reminded of a Cherokee story. The grandfather is speaking to the grandson. And he's saying to the grandson that there are two wolves at war within. One is evil, angry. The other is loving and peaceful. The grandson says to the grandfather, "Grandfather, which will win?" And the grandfather's reply was, "The one you feed." If it is war that we wish to end, we must end the war within. The battle within. This is an electromagnetic universe. Like ideas line up together. We really believe that it is all right to have conflicting ideas inside, and that it is okay, that no one will ever know. But in this universe, you create everything. It is justice. In the beginning, Mother God slept. At the moment, a movement, a flicker, and Father God, aggression, form was born. And immediately it was loved. God the Son, love was born. At birth, this is our natural way of being. The moment of birth brings about the first distortion, or as some would say, the original sin. At birth, the child experiences insecurity for the first time. It has been kept warm and nurtured and loved. Suddenly, it is in a space that is unfamiliar. It does not know what to do. It is helpless. Insecurity and the first distortion of life has begun. on that first distortion, we begin to build. A child is emotionally what it's going to be by the time it is 2 years old. 2 years old. 2 years old. We build upon that, and we build, and we build. And we have the natural thing that is love within us. We have two forces at work. One is natural, loving, and kind, and the other is insecurity. Well, what happens when we become insecure? We seek to defend ourselves. Quite often we seek to defend ourselves from things that we don't need to defend ourselves against. We look at the things that are different and judge them as the enemy, judge them as against us. We look at the sex of another human being and we think that human being inferior to us. We look at the color of another person. We look at the language they speak, and they immediately become the enemy because they are different. They are different. And when they are different and we are insecure, the walls come up. The beginning of war outside of ourselves, as a reflection of the war within ourselves, the war between love and peace. What peace and evil, what do I do? Do I choose that which is good, that which my heart tells me is good for me, or do I choose that which my head tells me in response to the insecurity within? What do I do? I have double thought. To double think, to doubt, double, the original word for that was devil. So you can see there's kind of been some misunderstandings along the way here. What do we fear? That which is different. We look to the difference because that most often is most obvious to us, instead of looking to that which makes us all alike. With this experience in 1973, I was a very angry man. I grew up in the South in Mississippi, at a time when it was not good to be a young black man in Mississippi. I grew up to be angry and hateful, mean. But that night, I understood. I understood why. And I understood that I had a choice. And that choice was to be proper within myself, to be myself, or to be that which I had learned to be. The war inside was killing me. The war inside was destroying that which I really am. So the choice was simple. To be that which I have always been. The war has ceased. I no longer have to look at my brother and my sister as different from myself. What happened to me in that room that night was unbelievable to myself. A light began to shine within me that I could not imagine. I had no point of reference for this. And as everything fell away, each thing, each idea structure fell away, the light grew brighter, and the knowledge, the intrinsic knowledge, became obvious. At the end of that was peace. At the end of that was love. I had never heard of such a thing. I had never read a book on philosophy. I had never studied the great masters. I was a scientist. I was a chemist, because I knew the answer to all the problems of the world were in chemistry. I guess I listened a bit too much to DuPont, better things through chemistry. But at that moment, I knew. But I had to find out if everything I knew, everything I found to be so, was true every place. So I set out around the world. Europe, Asia, South America. I lived with headhunters. I just kind of hung out with people. And I found that we are all the same. We are all the same because we became what we are by reason of the same process. We learned. The basis, the thing that learned, is the same in all humanity, in all consciousness, actually. I was in New York last week, I believe it was. I'm in so many places, I forget sometimes where I am. I forget sometimes where I am anyway, so. I watched fish in a tank. I watched one fish learn how to take the food from the other fish and hide it. So the consciousness of all has intelligence. We learn to be based upon that intelligence. We are the same. We learn our personality. Now let's take a good look at that word personality that we are very proud of. Persona. Personality. From the Greek root word persona, meaning mask or false face. So now we're very proud of our mask, but it is our mask that caused the problem. It is that other wolf that is loving and kind, that is our nature. That is the true being. That is the true person. That is what you really are. The persona tells us all kinds of things from the mind. The image we wish to others to see us through. And we wish to see ourselves through. When reality does not agree with that, there is pain. Then there is war within. And that energy, that negativity, lines up electromagnetically on one side of the continuum and supports war outside of our personal self. We are at war. When you walk down the street and you look into the eyes of other people, you do look into the eyes of others, don't you? When you look into their eyes and you see the cold stare that doesn't want to see you, or the anger, or the tension on the face, there is war present within that individual. And they are feeding the evil wolf. They are feeding the wolf of darkness. We have a choice. We always have a choice. I'm fond of saying, you have no choice, only the power to choose. You have no choice except to be yourself, but you may choose not to be. And when you choose not to be, the war has started. The war with anyone close to you. The worst fights are among family members, husbands and wives and siblings. Why is this? We profess to love each other. Why is it that we are at war within our family? Because we are at war within ourselves. And when we are at war within our family, that translates to the family next door, or the next block, or the next city, the next country, and on and on and on. And it stems from one very simple thing: the first distortion, insecurity. Being insecure. How do we solve this problem? We are vulnerable. That is why we're insecure. So the acceptance of our vulnerability is the only strength we have. When you know you are vulnerable, now you can be aware of all the things around you and yourself. But when you hide your vulnerability, something always creeps up on you. The recognition of your persona is always exposed. We don't have to pretend to be something that we're not. Why? Feel. We do not want to feel our true connection with all that is. God, if you will, the Creator, whatever term you choose to use, is feeling. You are felt by your body. You are received into the body. The Creator is received into the created. The idea of learning to feel again is so that the Creator recognizes itself in that which it created. To recognize itself, self-awareness, enlightenment, if you will. We stop the war. And when you walk down the street and you look into another person's eyes, they see peace, they see love. That passes on from one person to the next person to the next. Some it's a little harder to get through than others. But it is because you have come to feel yourself and be yourself that you are patient. You cannot be other than this loving creature. So eventually you will wear them down just by being yourself. You cannot pretend to be yourself. You must be it at all cost. And the cost is the lie, the persona. That is the cost. To see the light, to know that which is true. You are the light. You are the light. Not what you think, but what is felt. We are so accustomed to making decisions with our head. And in making decisions with our head, what comes into play? Good old insecurity. And we decide based upon that, as opposed to deciding based upon that which I am. Let's go back. Before the beginning, the great Mother God slept. And I'm not speaking of a woman, I'm speaking of the concept that woman sprang from. At the moment, the instant when it all happened, God the Father was born. Movement, form, that which is aggressive. Now, we're not talking about a man here, but we're talking about that which masculinity springs from. Instantly, it was loved. So, as a result of the two parts, love, aggression, God the Son was born. Love permeates all of being. To not feel love inside is to deny who I am. Is to deny that feeling that tells me how to answer all questions. It tells me how to answer those questions truthfully, honestly. How not to be afraid to love. I was a macho dude, football player, baseball player, track star, generally push them around, beat them up kind of guy. I wasn't supposed to feel the tenderness of love. But I was angry because I had shut off the flow of love within myself in response to the way I was treated. But that is no excuse. That is no reason. It is an excuse. The way I was taught. I was taught to stand before a person of a lighter skin color than mine and look at my feet, never to look them in the face, never to look them in the eye. Love was stifled as I grew older. At the time that happened, I was a child. The pain was so great. You had to fight back the tears. And as I grew into a young man, when the sexual energy started to rise, that is the energy of summer, and things began to get hot and irritation high, hatred was born. I shut off love. The joy that I felt as a child in the woods behind my house, where I could go and lie in the sunshine and watch the birds and watch the ants and watch the clouds in the sky. That joy of unity that I felt was now gone. I could no longer feel myself. Love, that natural flow from that which created it all, was stifled. The energy did not flow in me anymore. And we all experience this to one degree or another. The idea now is to learn to feel again. And in feeling all the messages that were true in the beginning with the creation of all things happens within you. All things happen within you. I cannot look outside of myself for the solution. I cannot look outside myself for the solution to war. I cannot look outside myself for peace. Hatred of war does not bring peace. Only love of peace brings peace. That love that is real and sure, and that I will not allow to disintegrate again, ever. I am man enough to be gentle. I am man enough to be kind, to be loving. to share, to put my arms around someone. It is love. Well, let me put it this way. I asked 7 questions that night. The last question was, what is the solution to the world's problems? Like an atomic blast that was as soft and gentle as a butterfly's wings, in blinding light, the answer came: love. If we wish to prevent war, we must love. There are children every day raising other children in America, South America, Brazil, Africa. Millions of children without parents being left to fend for themselves. Shutting down love because they are unloved. Now let's ask a question. In what garden then is hatred going to grow? In what garden will hatred be nurtured? In the garden where these children are growing without love. Where will the terrorists of tomorrow come from? Where do the terrorists in America who are Americans, where do they come from? They come from a place where love has been shut down. Do you know the main reason that gangs hang together? They feel they have found a place to be. They feel they are loved. They have a family. Because love has been shut down in the society, we are afraid to allow it to move outside of ourselves and touch someone else. Remember, when you build walls to keep others out, you also keep you in. And you cannot reach out and touch anyone else. Love must flow. Most often we don't want to take that risk. You have no choice, only the power to choose. It is up to every individual to be the absolute of themselves. How do we achieve this? It's simple. It's not easy. It is simple. You must go to your feelings, relax the point where you feel the feeling, and let it move. There's another word called damned. Yes. Let's look at the real definition of that word. Damned, like the Hoover Dam. We have stopped the flow of energy within our being. It is that tension, it is that stress of that which is natural trying to move through us and hits that brick wall, and the energy created there is very unpleasant. Flowing energy feels great. It's wonderful. So, when we go to the point where we feel the stress, the tension, relax, let go, let the energy move. Now, this will bring memories, all sorts of memories that may be unpleasant. And one may say, I never want to relive that again. We are feeling creatures. The only way out is through it. It is the only way out. It is the only way we can ever be whole. Or that other word, holy. To be whole. To become one within ourselves. Is to feel it, whatever those experiences are, see them for what they are and let them go. Let them move outside of our bodies. And the more we do that, the more free we become, the more loving we become. There will be many tears with this, and some of us, particular guys, we don't want to cry too much. I had an experience in New York. I had done, I don't know, 3 or 4 lectures, several workshops, a couple of TV shows, and I decided I needed to get away. So I'll go and see a movie. I went to see Antoine Fisher. And I'm sitting there and the tears are streaming down my face. It's such an awesome feeling movie. And I realized I was the only person in the theater. So I just cut loose. Just let it happen. It is that which is spirit telling me about what is wrong and what is right. That which is naturally spirit telling me it is wrong to treat a human being in this manner. This child was tied to a post and beaten and sexually molested at 5 years old. The pain of that, the way the spirit naturally speaks, it doesn't say that's wrong. You feel it. But the way you feel it in its absolute value is without resistance to it. The power of it decides for you. The power of it. And the triumph. I couldn't tell the tears of pain from the tears of joy when he triumphed. It was great. It was really great. I hadn't cried like that since I was a little kid. Tears and other stuff just running. And it was absolutely wonderful, an absolutely wonderful cleansing moment. This is what we have to do. To save the children, we must teach the children to be themselves. It's all right to cry. It's okay. Crying does not mean you are weak. Crying simply means you're crying. With the natural strength within, no one can take advantage. We must allow them to feel. When you look at what happens with all these children in the world now who are being attacked, beaten, maimed. I guess in one time in Brazil, with the children, the police were culling them out like you would take weeds out of a garden by killing them. You have the same thing in Africa now. Hands being lost, legs being lost, families murdered in front of children. What is the effect upon the child? What is the effect upon the child here in America? When that child cannot see a friendly face or someone who truly cares and who will truly take the time to be with them. We can't do that if we have not gone through that process of learning to feel again. You are felt into your body. You are felt. You are original. You are the original. You are the original. There is only one. There is only one looking through the eyes of many. If I know who I am and you know who you are, there's only one of us in this room. Just one of us. When we can feel that, we can change the world. We can end the war because we have ended the war within by feeling that which is original. You might say, but how can this possibly be? The world is a large place, a very large place. So many people. With the birth of the masculine God or the masculine creator or form, at that moment, creation was introduced into the universe. Creation, justice. Each and every one of us as individuals and collectively create the events of our lives and our universe collectively. Each and every one of us. By my taking care of me, coming to know who I am, and you taking care of you, coming to know who you are, letting the love that is you be, the world will change, one person at a time. How do we solve a problem? Really solve it. We must go to the root of the problem. Someone says that's idealistic. I say very simply, you never know until you try. You don't know until you try. A child of probably one of the darkest times in American history. The way I was treated as a child, I had no belief. There was no faith that it would ever change. I have seen men tied with chains and chained behind cars and dragged down the street. I've seen people killed, women raped. And the police was a part of it. So as a child, you don't see hope. But when this happened, I understood. I understood that all of the change came about because people saw there could be a difference made. And all of the people who stood up in the 50s and 60s stood up not because someone else stood up, but because of the wonder within them, because of the love and the strength within each individual. If I stand up, please do not stand because I stand. Stand because you believe and you stand with me. Then we stand together. There is no weak link. We stand together. In terms of love, it's the hardest thing to stand for because it is considered to be weak. Love is not weak. Love is strong. Each person can change the world by coming to feel the love within themselves and stand lovingly. And each person you meet, each person you touch, love them. The question comes, how can you love everybody? Because people behave this way, people behave this way, people behave this way. I have never said love everyone. Just love you. When love is within you, all that falls before your view is loved. It is not an individual thing. I am love. We are love. To feel it and to have the courage to live it. To voice your opinion to those who control the government, who control the armed forces, lovingly, not confrontationally. What happens when you confront someone? They usually shut you down. This is what happens to children quite frequently. When we really go after them and confront them, they shut down. You remember when you were a child and you were confronted and you get that glazed over look over in your eye when your parents were trying to tell you something? You remember. We remember. Okay? That's what happens. That behavior does not stop because we're children. It stops anytime the ego is confronted. So if we wish to talk with our leaders, it is important to be loving. To be firm, but loving. Not confrontational. They won't listen. I do not know of any point in time in history where the confrontation has stopped the war, has stopped it from happening. Yes, it brought an end to the war in Vietnam. But people were saying before then, don't do this, stop, don't do this. But minds had been made up. It is the same now. We must talk to each other. And when there's love in our hearts, we are guided to speak in ways so that we can be heard. If we wish to stop war, we must stop the war inside. Grandfather, which wolf will win? The one you feed. I'd like to stop my tirade at the moment and ask you if there are any questions. Please. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I want to know about the title of your book.
I'm not coming back.
Yeah.
When we have come to a certain point in our evolution, the fact of reincarnation no longer applies. We now move on to other places of creativity. Once you come all the way to self, there's no need here. So I'm not coming back. But I haven't left yet either. I'm around for a little while. Yes, other questions? Yes, sir.
If you could address the role or the effect of television on the masses.
Well, we are susceptible to the ideas that television gives us. We like action, we like activity, so it feeds us a steady diet of this. And in feeding us a steady diet of this, it gives us the hormonal balance is thrown out of balance. And we become habituated to violence. We become habituated to the shows. We become habituated to the stupidity. When I say the stupidity, I'm looking at shows where the husband is just this dumb guy who goes out and goes to work and comes back and everybody makes a fool out of him. And the wife is always this really cool cookie, you know, who has all the answers and that kind of thing. Or shows where men berate women, that kind of thing. It is there, and we are fed this diet constantly. Not only does it affect the children because the mind is suggestible. This is how we learn, the suggestibility of the mind. So it is imprinted. And we find ourselves reacting emotionally because of the levels of hormones that have been released in the body. So television, movies, yes, music, they all infect. And they all affect us in various ways. Yes. Yes, ma'am.
You talk a little bit about dreams and you say when you are dreaming too, while you're dreaming, you're in your dreams, pay attention to your environment
Yes.
and the value of that and explain.
Yes. When we are asleep, our barriers drop. We can do anything in a dream. Our belief systems no longer apply for the most part. So, we receive messages from that part of ourselves that is clean. Sometimes you may have a precognitive dream. Have you ever had one of those? You dream something and in a few days you see it happening. This is coming from the greater part of yourself, outside of the ego. Now, what this is just a bleed over. We get to use so little of that. Now, when you take control in the dream and begin to act consciously, you begin to make cracks in that ego structure so that when you're awake, you can receive that same kind of information in the awakened state. That is the reason for the exercise. To live with a greater part of one's intelligence, to live with a greater part of one's consciousness. Albert Einstein, he just said he used 13% of his intelligence. 13%? Now, what does it say about the rest of us? That doesn't say a lot. So. Yes, that is in part. That is the way I believe in attacking a problem from all possible angles. So when you get up and you begin to write it down, you're attacking the block from this side. And when you look at your environment in the dream, take control in the dream, you're attacking the block from the other side, or that division. So eventually, pow. And you are free of the ego restraints. So both ways help.
And are those things that are things like a physical body and then transfer
They have been described that way. But see, it was not my experience of planes. Here was my experience that it is a matter of ego systems. The first system had to do with the man, the idea structures of the man. So that popped, which left the ego structures of the little boy, the idea structure surrounding the little boy. So I was already the room, but I was looking at the structure from within. So now that popped. Now I have to look at the structure of the world, because the world itself, physical reality, is a distortion. It is a truth. No, it is not a truth. It is a reality. Okay? So my beliefs about that, now that pops, bang. And I am what I have always been. So I don't know about levels or that kind of thing. I'm saying that when we come to consciousness, it will be like having a dream and you are in the dream and you're looking at yourself in the dream. That is how you begin to see it. So it is about the systems of belief breaking down. Does that make sense?
So, and that comes from for yourself and personal through knowledge and reading and understanding and experience.
I would not say through reading. I would say through activity. Because to know is to be. When we come to knowledge by reading, it's there. We are treating it as something separate. even though I wrote a book, but I'll try and get to you all in some kind of order here. So I would say the techniques that I spoke of earlier provide you with the means of of releasing yourself from what you think you are to be what you really are, and all knowledge is available at that moment. All knowledge. Okay, now this gentleman right here was next, I believe. Yes.
I feel that you've done like a vast amount of research.
None. No research whatsoever. What I am, I became that night. I became as a result of everything breaking, and all knowledge is available in the infinite now. There is no past, there is no future, there is only right now. Okay, now there was a hand here, and then here.
I just became familiar with you the other day. I wish I would have read some of your books beforehand. I'm very fascinated by this. I've heard you talk about belief systems breaking down and dream work. And I don't know if you're familiar with this or not, but I'll tell you a little bit and see if I can get a comment from you to get your interpretation. When I was a young boy, I became an unwilling participant in a behavioral science experiment by the Central Intelligence Agency called Operation Brainstem that involved biofeedback apparatus and dream work where I was actually spoken to in my sleep. And it happened on maturity in Poland. It happens to a lot of Native Americans. And it's part of CIA recruitment, which I've always resisted. And it continues to this day. I'm an unwilling participant in this behavioral science experiment. And one of the things I've also heard you talk about war and about how the people's emotions are dammed up and they aren't able to flow and communicate and be who they are. Part of this involves is more or less a gag order where I've gone to the press all over the world. I did a 2-hour interview with Channel 7 News on May 25th, 2001, told the whole story. They're going to put it on the news, and the government prevented us from doing it. And it's been done to many people that I've known over the years. And I can tell individuals, or I can tell small groups. I've actually been arrested for telling people about this.
Let me understand what your question is now.
I'd like you to comment on that because you've talked about dream work and breaking down beliefs, and they try to change my mind, try to get me to do things for the government that I don't want to do, that I find morally reprehensible.
One thing very simple. You are you, and you have the power of choice. As long as you listen to that which is within you, no one can make you do anything you don't want to do. You are all that is. Now, as long as you relate to the small I, you can be influenced, hence television. Before my wife died, we were watching TV one night, and I watched this car commercial, and I said to her, wow, that's a great commercial, but that doesn't make me want to buy a Volkswagen. She said it was a Chevy commercial. You see what I'm saying? When you know who you are, you're not really influenced by what they say. It's like a cute commercial, but see, understand what I'm saying to you. By influencing your dreams, you are still there. You are still present. Relate to that which you are, and everything will be great. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Just to comment on the infinite consciousness as opposed to the mechanical consciousness
Yes.
of man, and I think that's what you were saying, is when you go back, and it's like the Lord of the Rings is a very good example. There's that gulf that we build. It's like a crust.
Yes.
And until you balance that crust out, and that brings you into the present moment, you are mechanically living in the past and the future, because that's what humankind as children, as you say, 2 to 3 years old. I teach school, and you can see it very it's just amazing. From first grade to fourth grade, there's a tremendous leap where a child, you start seeing how and it depends on his parents, how he's been programmed by this mechanical consciousness, which you said, as collective consciousness, which we're all tuned into.
Yes.
And it penetrates us. It's like the cosmic rays is beaming down on us like a big beamer out there. And until we get back, I'm understanding you to say is when we get back behind that consciousness,
Yes.
to the infinite consciousness, that's the purity
Yes.
of us. Otherwise, we're impure.
Let me say this to you, that to become caught in that physical biomechanical mind is good, because we only gain knowledge, we only get smart because we've been stupid. See, if we come smart, there's nothing to learn, there's nowhere to grow, there's nowhere to be. Each person comes into this life to learn a particular message. We come to particular parents to get confused in a particular way to learn. Okay? And
That's
when
what
we...
happened to me.
It happens to all of us.
I thought I was the smartest person in the world. I grew up in the South. I didn't have hatred because I had a mother, and I guess I'm fortunate, that told me as a kid, and I grew up in Texas, you know, where I remember bus riding on the back of the bus.
Mm-hmm.
But my mother told me, close your eyes, and what do you see? Nothing. So I learned prejudice during the Civil Rights Movement.
I see.
When I got in truth, I mean, it was like I had to unlearn all of this stuff if I'm going to do what this says that I'm supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
I had to unlearn, but it wasn't hard because I started seeing eyes. I started seeing the souls of people, and right now I don't see color. I see souls, and so, but I have learned that when I go behind that collective consciousness, then that's the freedom. I mean,
That's the freedom.
That's the freedom that all of us were born with. We all have that, and that's the love.
Yes.
You have to humble yourself and say that we're all one.
Yeah.
Just
Now we have to live behind
live it.
that.
And that's the hard part.
Live. The hard part is, now, what we have to do is destroy the walls that we built, and they are as fine as tissue paper.
And I call them Freddie and Eddie.
Freddie and Eddie.
On this shoulder. And Freddie say, "Oh, look at them. You don't like them. Oh, look at that."
Yeah.
You know? And so that's been my gauge. And teaching school is that's the best practice ground anybody could ever have. So if any of you have a degree, go teach school, because that is a place to practice, because the kids are still pure to a certain degree. If you're not in high school, in grade school, they're still pure. So you can see the teetering from the innocence to the hardness, to the wolf.
I think the only thing that we can do, we're beginning to put together a structure in Brooklyn where we're going to take small children and place them in people who've gone through the groups that I've set up. And I think people are saying, well, we want to change the way they are. I'm saying, no, all you can do is give them the tools by which, when they are ready, to change. So that is an important thing about that. Thank you for your comments. I was a young man. Yes, sir. Yes.
I got two questions. One is, I read somewhere in your book, I guess, that you were teaching some students of yours everywhere.
Yes.
And first question is, can I apply being a student? That's one. And second is, when you had the enlightenment, were you able to recall a lot of your past lives?
Yes.
Can you say something about that?
This lifetime, if you read the back of the book, it says that I have spent time teaching small groups. These groups and I were together in prior times. This lifetime was a promise to them to complete what we had started. It was completed a few years ago. I began to feel the pull to turn the light out. But as I stepped back and began to look at what was going on in the world, I couldn't do it. So now we're setting up a whole other program to reach people in different ways. We have, of course, my headquarters is here in Chicago, New York, Atlanta, Oklahoma City, places like that. We're beginning to develop centers so that we can help people help themselves and help children now. So if you wish to become a part of what we do, you can sign the sheet here, and we will let you know when the next meeting is. I think we're going to meet tomorrow. We will meet Sunday. Today is not Saturday. Sunday. See, I'm out of time. I have no idea. And we would be more than happy to have you be there. Yes. You'll find that my teaching is, I tell you what to do, but I don't, because people have to have their own experiences with it. So it's not really a needing kind of process, is it? Okay. Yes, ma'am.
I haven't read your book yet, but could you explain a little bit about what led up to this experience that you had, about the experience?
Okay. Yes, I will. There was an interview that I gave in New York, and they asked me to talk about my life beforehand. And I generally don't do that because the only thing that was important is the moment of change. But I will put it like this, that I had come to a point in my life where there was just no place to go. Everything I touched went bad. I had just bought a new car, and it wouldn't start. I mean, nothing went right, and I just came to the bottom of the barrel. And I went to the house of a friend, and I had a gun. And I asked her if I could use her apartment. Yeah, right, brains all over the place. When she comes back, she's got to clean this up, right? So she said yes. And because the ego had been beaten down so, I was honest for the first time. For the first time in my life, I asked an honest question. That question was, why is my life so screwed up? And a voice said, because you're a moron. I'm being honest now. Okay, and it was like, uh-oh. You really done it now. And when I accepted the fact, yes, I have lied, I have cheated, I have stolen, I have done things much worse than that. Yes, the light started to show. The room became lighter, and the light within me I could experience. And it was like, oh my God. But because I had no place left to go except to the truth, that's what facilitated the process. However, when I was 8 years old, the light started to come. And I began to feel all this presence. And I just started going to the movies, and I realized the movies won't matter to me anymore. And it was like, no, and shut it off. It happened again around 13. The light started to show. And it was like, oh my God, sex doesn't matter. Yes, it does. So that idea structure, I went against it. Just didn't want to do it. Okay, because I had something to do that was very important to me. I came here this time to finish the work with some people, but I had to learn the attitude and the makeup of the mind of humanity, of my own self even, in order to be able to help people. You can't help people from outside of their situation. You must have been in that situation in order to help them. And here I am. Yes, ma'am.
I read your book,
Thank you.
and I told you it really shook me up.
Yes.
Now, I've been in truth for over 30 years, and Bonnie says she's got Freddie and Eddie here. Well, I got these little foxes. You know. And in your book, I don't know if you're alluding to it, but that's what I'm getting. That we really do not even, we're not here. The body's here, but we're not. It's, the spirit is here, but the body is only functioning because of spirit. We're here as instruments for the great God, the
Yes.
spirit.
Yes, that I am saying that. I am not alluding to, I'm actually saying
Okay.
that is true.
So when you say the war that's going on in us, which is part of what the projection is that we're throwing out there, we're projecting a movie screen out there.
That is absolutely correct.
And that movie screen is coming back to us, and it's all right in here.
Yes.
The whole world is right in here.
The whole world is within you. That is absolutely correct.
And so all these people who are declaring a wanting war, or are, you know, I mean, we got the pros and the cons. It's the war that's going on in them, but they're projecting that. And those who have not learned within them the greater
Yes.
power of who they are. You know, it's like when 9/11 happened, and everybody's calling me, and the only thing that I could think of at that moment is that God is here right now.
Yes. That's true.
Because I would not accept those pictures in my mind. I'm not minimizing what happened. I'm not alluding to the fact that it didn't happen and people suffered for it. But the only way to stop it is to stop it right then and there.
Yes.
And it's the same thing that's going on right now. This guy says, I'm better than you are. This guy says, no, I'm better than you are. And so what you look at, if you're looking at the movie, and I sat and looked at it, it's like you got two kids in a sandlot fighting with each other.
That's right. Absolutely right.
It's like a
Yes.
Mexican standoff. I'm
Yes.
better than you are. You got my toys. No, those are my toys. Give them back
Yes.
to me.
Yes.
It's ludicrous.
Yes, it is insane.
So,
Yes.
now, you know, I think, and like you said in your book, they're nuts. They're crazy.
Yes. We all are.
We all are. So,
Yes. Yes. But
now, I don't propose that you take a Uzi or a shotgun and go and kill Bush or the other guy,
yes.
because that does not, it defeats the very purpose of what you're talking about and what we're doing here.
We must learn to love.
That's right.
And when we love from inside, we stop the fight. We stop that. One of the things about, it's like sight. And I just wanted to make this example of what you said about it's out here. When you look from your point of view to where I am, you say that I am here. You see me here. That is not true. You see me in here. The light bounces from here, comes to your eye, the brain makes the image. So what you see is in you, not out there. And it is colored by your opinion of what you see.
That's right. And that is why when I saw you on television, I'm not looking at the same person. Not at all. Not one iota. Is it the same one that I saw on television?
Aha, good.
Could I just say one thing? As a teacher, when I first got into it, and that was very hard for me to comprehend because I was trying to understand it with my human mind. And in Compton's dictionary, one day I was in the library just fooling around with the kids, opened up the book to illusions. And if any of you are ever in San Francisco, there's a museum called the Museum of Fine Arts. There's a bust of the guy looked like he's finished or something, but if you stick your hand through there, you'll see the illusion of what we are and what we think we are. But it's in the back to the dictionary, they had two straight lines, and at the end of the straight line there was an arrow.
Yes.
And then on right in the back of that line there was another straight line, but the arrows were pointing in. So the arrows pointing in is what we're seeing, and I was like you. My revelations come slowly. But I asked God questions. I said, okay, universe, Father, whatever you are, if you're who you say you are, answer this for me. And usually I get the answers, and when I get the answers, it scares the hell out of me, but I still get the answers. And it's like, there's a movie camera going on, like you said, with the images. And with this fine arts, in this fine arts museum, you'll see how the eyes are prisms of light. And in the center there, the big center light, we're like Cyclops, and we don't want to believe it.
The point where it all comes together, but let me make another.
Together, and that's where the X.
Yes.
And it squeezes the real light of the Mother God, Father God, and so it's distorted, which is
Right. And that's where
Let
you
me-
get the projection.
Let me make another point about the reality. Those of you who've studied physics, if you look at form, there is more space than there is mass. So it appears solid. If you touch it, it appears solid. How can that be when there is more space than mass? So it tells you about the illusion. I once spent 3 weeks locked in a closet. No light, no food, only water, to experience what the human mind would do. And as I was sitting there was a little dog sitting at my feet. And I reached out to pet the dog. But when I reached out to pet him, he bit me. And the blood just ran down my arm, and the pain was excruciating. And finally it dawned on me. You're sitting in a closet, dummy. There's no one in here but you. It is the way the human mind creates the world. We create it. Now, another point that you made is, yes, I am saying that you are within the body and outside of the body. It is like a glove. The body is the glove. I am the hand that fits into the glove and animates the glove. That is what the consciousness is. We will come to see that, and when we come to see truth is that which lasts forever. Truth never changes. When we come to see that, we treat the world in a different way. Now, I thought I saw a hand over here someplace. Yes, ma'am. Yes.
I just want to ask, like, as you were a child, you were confused and exposed to all these different things.
Yes.
And you go into an adult, and the spirit's kind of broken down, and you felt like exhausted. And
Yes.
Drained from life, and you kind of became disassociated with who you really were.
Yes.
How were you able to get on this path? I know you went over a little bit. How were you able to get on this path?
I did not. No. I didn't come to the path. I came to the point. You see, do you see what I'm saying? I came to the point. because I had no knowledge of anything like this at all. I was a physical scientist. You couldn't tell me about anything philosophical. You couldn't tell me about God or any of that. I didn't want to hear it. All I did was do what every person who has come to be enlightened has done. You see, no matter what the religion, no matter what the teaching, it comes down to one thing and one thing only: surrender. I had no choice, no place else to go. And when I let go of everything, there was everything. So what brought me there was misery. So misery was my friend. He said, come on, fool, we're going to take you to a good place. When you get stupid enough, there's no more stupid you can be. You just can't, stupid to the nth degree, you realize there's no place left to go. So that's how. Oh. Yes.
And then you kind of get back into that, you drift back into trouble.
I want you to hear me good now. Hear me good, child. None of those hooks exist within me anymore. What is your name? Catch? Okay. I don't have a name. I have no idea who I am. You understand what I'm saying? All the structures are gone. They broke down. As long as you have those structures, they will make you become comfortable. And when you have the hook, the catch comes. As long as you got it. When I say this, I say to you that the entire physical world, the entire physical universe, that which made it what it was for me, broke down. I do not see the world in any way close to the way I once saw it. I am no longer interested in the things that most people are interested in. I have no interest. I see it for what it is. I'm not judging it. I just don't. I understand why, but I don't understand it. I don't understand jealousy. I don't understand anger. I don't understand greed. I probably will starve to death. Because, well, it's going to take a while, but you understand what I'm saying? All of that is gone. So the idea is to work with that, and there are things that you don't want to give up now that you must give up in order for that to be, for it not to ever come back. And then you will know who you are. Okay, wait, there's this lady here.
I'm only partway through reading your book, but you made references in there to law. That's really what law that is, or how you define that.
What the law is?
Yeah.
The law is, my next book, by the way, is Within the Perfect Law. That's a plug, guys. Within the Perfect Law. What is the perfect law? The perfect law is truth. That is what we call God, which is myself, which is yourself. Love, okay? That is the law. With love is compassion. That is a law, okay? Intelligence, that is a law. Creativity, that is a law. Anything that you have learned is not a law. Only that you can learn it is a law. Does that make sense?
Sort of.
Clear as mud, huh? Intelligence. It's why I can learn it. That is a law. What I learn is not a law. I cannot murder you because love will not allow it. Because that is the law. I can't change that. Does that make
Yeah.
sense? Those are the laws that I speak of.
You also talked about techniques that you would teach your students.
Yes.
Is that the same as what you were talking about before? Or?
That is one of them. Yes. Yes, that is one of them. We have many techniques that we use for different purposes. And yes, yes. Is that? One more lady here.
I haven't read your book yet, but I'm just wondering, something you said just put into mind things that I've heard about, like near-death experiences and how people, when they have them, they come back and they lead an entirely different life and they, it's like a revelation.
Mm-hmm.
It's sort of like what you had. You said you were kind of like down and...
Kind of. I say kind of. There are different degrees to which we let go. I was always a curious child. I always had to know why, which got me in trouble in school a lot. Why? 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 And finally they'd say, shut up. Okay. Because I had to know why it led me past the structures of physical reality, with an awareness of each step along the way. So, in that sense, everything was changed. Now, there's a difference in the way I view you now. I'm looking at you, but I see you. I see your vehicle. I see what you're riding in. But I see you, along with other things. Does that make sense to you? So my whole view is not restricted anymore by physical reality. May sound weird, but it's true. So it's a little different. Sometimes when people have that near-death experience and come back, they talk about it in a way differently than I would, because the way they saw it was influenced by certain belief structures. By my going past that, I really have no belief structures anymore. I just see it. It is, that which is true is just there. It's just present. Does that make sense? A little different. And this lady right here. I think we did a TV show together, didn't we? Yes.
I guess my question, which is one I asked on the program, the relationship to evil. Now, there are evil entities or forces. Are you saying that those individuals outside of us who are evil, who end up being in our sphere, are there because we're protecting them?
Yes. And I would say that depends upon what you mean by evil as well. See, to me, evil is just ignorance.
Well, for example, the young man talked about the CIA, doing mind control. Now, that to me sounds evil now. Maybe
Sounds pretty evil to me. Yes.
I just want to say one thing. This is very serious. There is a website with my name, Paul Wiggins. In a 2-hour interview, a guy from the CIA named John Rockwell told me that 5 planes were going to crash into the Pentagon and World Trade Center. And I told that to Channel 7 News 3 months in advance on May 25th, 2001. And they wanted me to participate in that.
Okay. Well, okay. We're going to kind of keep to the spiritual attitude about it. But yes,
how can he protect himself?
there's nothing to protect yourself from. There's only to be yourself. You see, you cannot do anything to me. I once had someone burn candles on me. Ooh. Ooh. And I have people who do dream projections. So, I am that I am. There's no harm that can come to me. So if I get into a struggle with you, I am also an old martial arts teacher. If you come after me and I grab you and you grab me and we're tussling, now we're involved. But if you come after me and I step aside and brush you like that, you're gone that way. Means nothing to me. But if I get involved with you, now the struggle begins. It is like you cannot involve me in a brainwash game if I won't play. Does that make sense? That is your protection against everything. If you don't play,
You don't pay.
yes, we're running over, aren't we? Okay.
Maybe one last question.
Can I?
Okay, just one last quick question, and then do we have time to sign some books? Okay. And when we sign the books, we'll keep it, if you purchase them, we'll keep it really brief because we got a lot of people to do.
Okay.
Okay?
All right. In your book.
Yes, ma'am.
In your book.
Yeah.
It stuck with me.
All right.
You say you're not coming back.
Yes.
And I got clear as to what you're talking about.
Uh-huh.
And you said in the book there are only 3 people beside you that are on this path that are that far evolved like you are.
Okay, we are the same person, actually. Okay. That's just a little bit clearer statement about it,
But
yes.
somebody in that group asked you, who are they?
Haha.
And that is what I'm asking.
I won't say.
I know you. I could bank $100 that you wouldn't give me an answer.
It will all come to light in time.
I know that.
You are in a time, a very interesting time right now. You are in a very dynamic time. You're in a time of wonder. You're in a time of confusion, and in a time of confusion, order comes out of it. So I would like to thank you so much. Your questions and your involvement with a crazy old man is really nice. I don't know what where'd he go? What will those of you who want to purchase books, what do they do? Come there, purchase it?
Just come over to the counter here, and then we'll bring you guys up.
And come back to me for...
Or you can sign it and then...
Okay, however you would like to do that, I would be more than happy to do it. Thank you so much. You've been very kind. And I need a pen here.